Welcome to Be Rich Family Chronicles.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm chilling like a villain.
Are you? So wrong with you.
That's right. Woo-wee, every time.
Okay.
Every time.
At least you tried, babe.
I did. I really did. So today we have a guest.
We do.
It is my lovely cousin Christian. I'm so happy that she's here with us today. And she's going to talk to us about what?
Her fertility journey.
Yes. So I just lost my train of thought. I was going to say something else, and then
You're doing so good.
I know. I was on a roll, and then it stopped. But anyway, yes, she's here to talk to us about her journey, which has been different than ours, but maybe similar. But we wanted to bring her on to shine light on how fertility has been for her, because I think a lot of people just think of same-sex couples,
right,
who go through fertility issues, not realizing that it is the same, or can be the same thing. Yeah, for heterosexual couples, single people, whatever. So yes. So we want to welcome Christian. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. How are you doing up there in cold New York?
Oh, it's quite chilly. I'm not gonna lie. I think the temperature today is like 15 or 17, I think. And it says it feels like it's like 2. So, a little chilly. It's a little chilled. A little slight.
Right. It's 19 here today. So
okay, so we're on the same type of time. It's brick, as they say here. As they say here in New York.
Wait, they say it's what?
It's brick.
Brick is brick.
I gotta watch more TV shows.
Shut up. Okay, brick. What is? I don't get it. What is brick? But how does brick relate to cold?
How does a lot?
I'll let you know when I find out more in depth. but I know that is what they call it when it's cold outside.
It's brick out here, son.
Okay.
Here we are.
Yes, son.
At least it's not completely new to you, though. Indiana was cold. So
yeah, Midwest girly. It gets cold. Actually, I feel like it gets colder in the Midwest than it does out here. So It definitely, when I look at it like the weather back home, it's always colder than it is here. So I'm like, okay, it's not, and it doesn't feel terrible. I layer up, obviously. You have to layer up and get yourself where you need to be.
Right.
So I don't go outside and like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm out here. But I definitely wouldn't just be like out there chilling. Like, no, absolutely
not.
You got your Timbs?
I do have Timbs, yes. I have Timbs, but I actually, I don't wear my Timbs in the snow. I have these Ugg boots that have like the rubber bottom and like all the fur-ish stuff on the inside. And that's what I use right now because it's very insulated and I don't mind them getting dirty because I can like rinse them off. I don't want to be messing up the Timbs now, so.
Right. I was just telling Bree the other day, like, because I need some winter boots. I don't have winter boots, surprisingly, but I was like, I don't want Timbs, and like, I don't feel like Timbs are insulated. Like they not
at all. Like for fashion,
right?
That's it.
Right.
You gotta wear some good socks. You do definitely gotta wear some good socks.
Right. You got on the Timbs, right?
With them nice wool socks.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
But we wanted you to come on today to tell us about your journey with fertility, and your trials, tribulations, successes, whatever, all of the things. Like I said, just because we've obviously shared our story on our podcast and ours, as a same-sex couple, I would imagine looks different for you, or maybe it doesn't look different for you. So I just thought it would be cool for you to come on and not only educate us, but educate our listeners as well.
Oh, well, I really appreciate that. And you all shared your story also on my show on the Fallopian Files. And
Yeah.
that was such a good time. I learned so much from you all. So I'm definitely very much excited to be here and can share whatever possible I can with your audience as well.
Okay. Yay. We are
Yeah.
excited. So I guess maybe do you want to tell us like how your journey started or what made you, I don't know, get to the point where you're like, this is what I want to do?
So I guess my journey um let's see, where would it begin? I always knew that I wanted to be a mom. I
Okay.
always felt that I wanted to be a mom, that I wanted to have a family, things of that nature. And like I said, being a proper Midwest girly, you're like, oh, I'm gonna get married, I'm gonna have kids, I'm gonna do all the things like that's the way you're supposed your natural progression of the way things are supposed to go. And with our family where we come from, very big emphasis on education, and especially the women in our family, we don't play about being accomplished. We are going to be accomplished,
Right.
and so um, the emphasis definitely was on making sure that I got a good education, had a good job, things of that nature. And um, the hope was that having a family in terms of kids was going to happen after marriage and things like that would take place. But what no one really prepares you for is navigating. There's now, okay, I'll say now where I am and how I think about things. Some aspects of family development and love, things of that nature, I believe are and should be mutually exclusive a little bit more. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I definitely was one of those people that was like, okay, first comes love, then comes marriage, then comes baby and the baby carriage,
Right,
and then
right.
thinking like that's what's going to happen. But life can take you down so many different journeys. And where I wanted to be career wise and education wise was going to take a lot of focus, a lot of time and energy that you can't necessarily also give to a relationship and love and growing in that way. So you lose a
Yeah.
little bit of the ability to really give 150% to the growing of the love so that it will then take the next step, right? Not only that, but also when you're younger, for me, it's like, I thought I wanted one thing, one decade. You get to the next decade, you're like, wait a minute, I don't want that thing. I want something different.
Right.
And then you get to the next decade and you're like, well, I don't want neither of those. I want this whole completely different
Right.
looking thing. And the more you understand that at no point do you really 100% know yourself, because you're constantly growing and evolving and changing based on your experiences, your interactions, the people that come into and out of your life, family, friends, like everything, it all has an impact on you. And
Right.
your life, your outlook, the things about yourself can change. And sometimes even if you're in a relationship that you think, okay, this is something that should be able to stand the test of time, right? But then the way life takes you, it's like then even that's not for certain anymore. So I had
Mm-hmm.
relationships, I've had loves that, were very deep and were long lasting, took, many, many years of my life. But still nothing ever took us to that next step of marriage, if you will. Um, and so there was a part of me that had to kind of allow the you need the marriage part to die, because that was an expectation of what I had, grown up with, that's what you need when you want to have a family. You need that portion. And no one tells you that it's possible you either may not get it or you may not want it at some point,
Right.
And so then what does that mean? Does that mean everything else in terms of love and family and commitment and, or lack of commitment or whatever it is that looks, for you, means you won't be able to still have your dreams? Like, I felt like that wasn't the case. So, trying to reimagine that. Then, like I said, giving to time and career and experience, the years tick by a little faster than you expect they were going to tick by sometimes. And you look up one day and, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, those of us who are, cisgender women born with ovaries and a uterus, our fertility has a time date on it. There's a time stamp, and so there's, up until a certain point, are you able to actually have children if that's what you see for yourself. And of course, there have been some advances in medicine and science and technology that allow us to have, IVF now, or give younger women, the option to, freeze some eggs to store for just in case life takes you further than you thought before you have a kid. So I'm grateful for that, but it's not 100%. So, fertility and the ability to have children for women, it is a finite thing. Unlike, cisgender men with testes that can just spew things about and drop children off where they see fit, or where they don't see fit sometimes. Just cuts. So, take that how you will. Here we are, Mother Nature, But it was one of those things where, okay, I had hit some major goals educationally, career wise, financially. I was very proud of. Um, had many loves and have lost some of those loves, but still the ability to love, I still have, and is still out there. But the one thing that I knew that I wanted, and I knew I also was running out of time for, was having children. So, I basically had to make a decision. Either I'm going to say, because I don't have a partner in whatever facet of partner I want to have in my life, because I don't have that, then I just have to give up the idea of motherhood. Or I can say, I want to be a mom. My time is running out. We're going to do this now. And then whatever happens after that happens. And we'll see. And so I made the choice that I'm going to go on this journey alone. I'll say, as a single mom, not necessarily alone. I have family, I have friends. So I won't be alone. But you know what I mean, in terms of like raising
another parent.
Yeah. So that was the decision I made, and I started the journey. Well, that's the ultimate decision I made. I started the fertility journey when I was with a partner, with my ex. He and I, we had talked about having kids together. We weren't necessarily like ready for the marriage thing, but we were committed enough, and thought we would like to start a family together. And we weren't able to do it naturally. So that was the first time that I got introduced to a reproductive endocrinologist, to have that discussion of, where do I stand fertility wise? How are my eggs? Like, how many eggs do I have? What's my uterus looking like? that was when I was able to find out more about the fibroids that I had. I ended up having to have some surgeries to correct that, to optimize my uterus, to be able to
Mm-hmm.
carry a child. So things like that started in motion when I was in a relationship, but the
Okay.
decision to continue on solo is one that I had to really take some time to think about.
Yeah. So how did you? And it's kind of wild because my journey as well started solo. Um, and it was because of like, the female issues that I was having, like with my cycle and bleeding heavy, all that fun stuff. I found out later on that it happens to like more women than you know.
Hmm.
But my doctor was like, you either do this or I'm taking all your parts. You're gonna have to have a hysterectomy. So that was my, thing. I was like, okay, kind of like you. I want to be with somebody, want to like do this, not alone. But if you telling me it's either do it now or not at all, then I'm like, forget it. I'm doing it now. And
Hmm.
I remember telling my mama, and she was like, "What? What do you mean? How are you gonna do it by yourself?" Blah blah blah. And I was like, "Honey, by the will of God. And if I end up pregnant, then I end up pregnant, and that's what was, meant for me." And then lo and behold, this cutie right here came along. So I didn't do it too long by myself, but I did start off by myself. But what do you think you had to do, or what do you think? I'm trying to think of how I want to word this, because initially, you're saying I'm starting off thinking I need to have my education, have a job, have a partner. I got this partner. We're going down this road. Now, whatever happens, happens, and I no longer have this partner. How did you get to that point where you were like, okay, I'm okay to continue by myself?
Ooh, it took some therapy work with my wonderful therapist.
Yeah.
Um, it took a lot of internal searching and dealing with some of my own things, that I had to think about. Um, I've grown up in a wonderful family, and I have, an amazing mother, an amazing father. But the man that raised me is not my biological father, and so I have a complicated relationship with my biological father that we are developing such a good relationship now. But for a very long time, that was not the case, and
Yeah.
you know, having that type of experience on my own um,
Mm-hmm.
made me question, like, okay, that was part of the soul searching that I had to do with, is it okay to basically purposefully kind of do this with a child,
Yep.
create daddy issues, if you will, where it's not necessary, or where they are not gonna like normally have to deal with it,
Right.
So I had to sit with that a lot, because it was like, okay, I know those feelings of when you know that there's someone who's supposed to be around and they have chosen not to. And now,
Yep.
is that a reflection of them, or is that a reflection of me? What is that, how does that impact me? How will that impact them? And so
Mm-hmm.
really thinking about that, like, is that fair? Is that something that, is this is a selfish decision that I'm making to um have a child on my own, knowing that I'm setting this child up to have to already deal with an obstacle or a hurdle that maybe their peers won't have to. But
Yeah.
I just had to tell myself, I do feel like I am meant to be a mother. I think that though you can never be two people for your child, you can be as whole of a self for your child as possible, because there are plenty of people walking around who had two parents, and both of those parents were nowhere near ready mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally to have a child. And just because two people were physically present doesn't mean that they, gave all that needed to be given for that child. So I just had to say to myself, you want to give the best you possibly can to this child, and you want to be all that you can for this child, provide all that you can, surround them with a community, let them know the truth, let them be able to digest that and deal with it as they best see fit, and make sure they're connected with a therapist early.
Yeah.
I think that's the part that people don't realize, who don't go through this journey, is what you have to think about, not only for yourself but for the child as well. We've had several conversations with the girls about like what family looks like. Family is not the same for everybody. So, they're at that middle school age where, middle school kids are cruel. So, and they just say whatever's on their mind.
Pictures.
So, yeah, they
yes,
are.
Yes.
So we've had some conversations with them too about, why don't we have a dad, or, my friends have dads and moms and stuff. And I was like, so how many of your friends have only moms at home? How many of your friends have grandma or grandpa at home? Aunts, uncles are adopted. You have those.
Or they have two different homes, like mom here, dad there.
Yeah. So I was like, you all are growing up in a two-family household, a married two-family household.
Yeah.
Like,
they even have so it's another set of twins like at their school, and they're actually being raised by their grandmother,
right?
And because of issues with their parents. So yeah, like I agree, like having to have a conversation with them, I think allowed them to not only just hear it from us, but to then see it like live and living color, that there are people dealing with different family structures, and not just because they have same sex, parents. So
right, and they're at that stage now, like they're rewatching like old TV shows that we used to watch. They're watching like Boy Meets World and things like that, where they have this perfect family. And when I know, like when I was younger, that was the perfect family. Mother, father, and a picket fence and a dog. And that's what they're seeing as well. So I mean, I know it brings questions about why does our house look like that, but it's like families are different. Families are different. No family looks the same. As long as you are in a household that you're loved, that's all that matters.
Exactly.
Like I think those conversations that people don't think about, who don't go through this journey, is like you're not only thinking about yourself, you're thinking about how this is going to affect that child as well.
But I also think that that's a good thing. I think that says a lot about you, and the fact that you thought about these things before just jumping into it and just like, that'd be all right. Because as a therapist myself, nothing grinds my gears more when people are like, oh, kids are resilient, they'll bounce back. Like, yes, like they may not be thinking about something the same way an adult might be, but you have no idea what that's doing to their brain and to the way that they just operate daily because of what's happening or did not happen, what's missing, what is there, all of these things. Yeah, they may not be able to express it like you can, or some adults can't either, but it doesn't mean that it's not affecting them. It just means that they don't have the words right now. It's just like a kid learning how to talk. They doesn't mean they don't know what they want. They just can't say, you know what I mean, like what they want. So yeah, it's wild. But I also think that it's ironic that again, here we are, two different situations or whatever. But for me, I kind of thought about the same thing starting the journey. It was like, okay, so if we start this,
I think we froze a little bit.
It did. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you a little better now.
Okay. But no, I was just saying, I think that it's ironic that we kind of went on the same thought process of like, okay, if I do this, is it going to mess up these kids? And for you, it was like, if I do this, another parent not being there, would it mess them up? And for me, it was like, I have another parent, but it's the same sex parent. Is that going to mess them up? You know what I mean? So it's just like all these things you have to think about before you take the next step.
Yeah. So I think definitely being in America, where you have a very Christian centric society, where it is also very much also a like monogamous leaning society. It creates expectations, and I think that's the problem, is that you have these expectations, like you said, that this is what a family is supposed to look like, whereas when you look at examples from when you actually take the time to look at many examples of countries that, where many of us came from, it's like family is the whole community. It's not just mom, dad. It can be mom, dad, but then you have a plethora of aunts for whatever those aunts look like. Aunt might be dad's other wife, or aunt might just be mom's best friend. You don't know. Like aunts can be a whole lot of things. So you don't just have a mother, you have mothers. You have grandparents that are present, that are there, they're passing on knowledge, they are revered and respected for the knowledge that they have. You have uncles. You don't just have dad, you have uncles. You have then you have not just siblings, you've got cousins. So family is not just this nuclear thing that's just you all here separate from everything else. It is you all amongst everyone else, and that each individual is a part of the whole. The whole can't exist without each individual. And I think had we been living in that type of environment or growing up in that type of environment, you wouldn't feel as much of the sting of not having what they say we're supposed to have, because you would be able to recognize where you are full, where you are, whole, and where you can learn those things about yourself. And a lot of that does come with time. I think about also like with myself and my own journey with my parents and stuff like that, how who I was and what I felt and how I internalized things, and as a child versus a preteen and a teen and then 20s, completely different than myself now in my 40s, where I can see how life exists outside of me. When you're younger, everything is about you. It's like, this is how I've been wronged, or how I have been, kept from having this that everybody else is having, as opposed to seeing what you have and how rich you are with that, and how even if you don't have what they over there have, you're rich in this and they don't have what you have. And so like everybody's different. And I know that that's going to come with time. I know that there's going to be a part of time where my child will be like, I hate you, you didn't you kept me from having a dad, I hate you. Like I'm trying to like really brace myself.
In the throat.
Right.
Yeah, just punch him in the throat.
It's like I'm trying to brace myself for all of that, because I know that comes with it, teen angst, if you will.
Yeah.
Or it's like everything is wrong, everything is bad.
No matter what you do.
No matter what. So I'm like, okay, I know that will come, but I also know that, it'll be fine. Like we'll come around, we'll come through it. They'll figure it out. They will figure out how they look amongst themselves, how they feel amongst themselves. What does this mean? What does this not mean? Every person is going to have their own journey. So two siblings in the same household with the same parents will have completely different outlooks on life. They will view the same situation differently. One may be like, we had the worst life ever, and the other will be like, what? This was amazing.
Right.
Right. And you already know, you have, 4 of the siblings, and I have a buttload of siblings, but grew up in the house with 2 other ones. And talking about things, and you grew up in the house with 2.
Right.
Talking about stuff now as adults. It's like, wait a minute, what? Like, that's how you feel? That's how, I don't feel this way. I remember, actually, I think it was maybe about a month or so ago, Brooke and I were having a conversation about my mama. And bless her heart. And she was saying, like, actually, about both my parents. And she was saying, like, one thing about my mama, I was saying something different. I was saying something about my daddy. She was saying something different. And I was just like, where does this come from? You know what I mean? But then I also have to remember that Brooke and I are 5 years apart. So I think that plays a part in it too. And there were things that Blake and I went through that Brooke never went through or had to experience. But even with Blake, with us being 2 years apart, we were closer in age, so saw some of the same things, but yet still they were different because we were different ages, and then we're also different genders. So there was different things, going on, and we're still just 2 different people too. So how we process things, how things, made us feel, it was just, it's different. So it's always, I don't know, like, just interesting. I think is the best word to say, like, how when you're talking about a story or situation that happened and people perceive it just so differently.
Right. Also, you have parents are different at different stages of kids' lives.
Yes.
Because me and my sisters had this conversation too. They're like, they didn't happen. I was like, it absolutely did.
Yeah.
And it's like me and my sisters have a big gap. So we are 4 years and 6 years apart. So like we have different perspectives altogether. But it's like, well, mom did this. And I was like, well, that didn't happen for me. Or that did happen for me, or mom wasn't like that with me. She was like that with you. She wasn't like that with me, or, vice versa. And it's like, you can't tell me how like you said, my journey was, we were 2 totally different people in 2 totally different spaces and had mom in totally different times, so it's like you said, perspectives. It's going to be different regardless of the girls. They're going to have 2 totally different perspectives. They're 2 different people, so
even with them being the same age.
And they are 2 totally different. They are very, night and day.
Very
so
different.
Their perspectives as they get older are going to be not the same. When one sees it, the other one's like, I don't remember that, or no, I didn't see it that way.
But I think also, like you said, when like parents, like, they change too. So I think about, like, my father, who has a wide range of like age wise for kids. Like my oldest sister, I'll be 40. She'll be 45. My baby sister will be 19, 20, something like that. So who he was as a father to us growing up was completely different than the father he was to them. And we watched that too. And it took some of my siblings didn't respond to that well, because they were like, you weren't like that with us. Like, how dare you be like that with them?
How dare you change?
Exactly. So whereas me, and maybe it's my therapeutic brain, I don't know, but I'm just like, I'm glad that they got a different father than we had, because I wouldn't have wanted them to experience what we experienced. But also, they had a whole different experience when it comes to, like, issues, Right. So whereas I can sit here and say we had it worse, or we dealt with other things, but they still had stuff that they had to deal with, But people grow and change as you should, So him being an older parent, he started to do things and look at things a little differently than he did when he was, they were 25 when they had Blake. You know what I mean? So to be then in his oh God, how old was my daddy when they was born? 40s? I don't know. He was too damn old. I tell him all the time he was too damn old.
You had too many kids.
Yes.
Already.
Yes, right. I remember telling him when Michelle got pregnant, I was like, when your kids start having kids, sir, you don't need no kids, okay? Yeah. So yeah, we got that whole situation where it's the aunt. Yeah, the aunt is younger than the niece and the nephew. I was like, oh boy. So yeah, but yeah, the different perspectives is different a real thing.
First, but when it's your last, cut it off.
Right.
man.
No, that's definitely true, because that's, with my family, I grew up with 4. Well, and I say grew up lightly as well, because, I'm the oldest. I'm the oldest of everybody. The grandchildren and
yeah, you are. Yeah.
So, but within my family, being the oldest, and then there's 4 years between me and my next sister, then 9.5 to 10 years between me and the next sister, and then 16 years between me and the twins. Ooh. So very big gaps.
Yeah.
Oh, it was in my eye, Lord. Hold on, sorry. Like, that was weird. Very big gaps, but so the experiences, my mom had me at 22. So, she had, my next sister, in the 26, 27 range. Then it's 30s. Then it's, almost 40 by the time she has the twins. So you're talking about very different decades of age in who you are, even learning yourself as a woman. Me learning myself as a woman in my 40s, I'm completely different than the woman that I was in my 20s, and even in the woman I was in my 30s. So understanding that if I had children back then, they would be experiencing me as I'm growing and hopefully evolving over time as well. So you would hope that kids coming when your parents are older would get a more mature, more grounded, less extreme version of your parents than you got if you're the older one and you got them when they were in their 20s. You kind of, like you said, you hope that they get something different. Oh,
I had cut out. You fine. Now? Go ahead. Yeah, we can.
We don't even know. Okay. No, I was just saying, that even my own experience of growing and evolving from my 20s, 30s, 40s, my hope would be that my siblings who got my parents at different decades of life would have gotten more evolved, more mature, more, parents that were wiser, like you said, you would hope that it's not the exact, because if they're the exact same, it's like, did you do no growth? How did you have zero growth? Because if you were the same person at 42 that you were at 22, like how?
Yeah.
Like that just means you never stepped outside of your comfort zone. You never tried or attempted to grow. You never put yourself in a position to experience and learn. Why would you want to be the same person? You shouldn't want to be that. You should want to take what was good and, learn from what was not, and continue to evolve. So that is also something that I feel, even though, medically or scientifically or even socially, they may say, oh my gosh, you're about to be, you're 42, most likely, if everything works out, you'll have a baby closer to 43, if not 43. That's old. And then it's like, it's not though. Like, in terms of life, it's not that old. And I'm grateful that I have all that life experience now that I can share, with a child, to be able to say, here's some wisdom. You're going to take what you will. Hopefully it sinks in deep enough that when you start to make these decisions that, might be questionable at some point, that you'll still hear me in the back of your head. And that I'll have actually something worthwhile to give you, as opposed to I think about myself in my 20s, and I think about my mom having me at 22. So being pregnant at 21 and having me at 22.
Yeah.
If it were me.
Right. Like,
like,
I think about that too. Yeah. Back to my 20s. Ooh-wee, baby.
I
Early
had
20s, I should say.
nothing to give you.
Yeah.
That was going to be, it was going to be like,
Look, girl, because when I had the girls, I was I was pregnant at 27, had them at 28 because their birthday was a month before my. No, I'm sorry, I turned 28 right after I had them. But even then, so I'm close to 30, and it's like, baby, stuff still wouldn't. You know what I mean? Like where you want it to be or whatever. So yeah, so I think about like those teen moms or like, you know, just early 20s, and I'm just like, oh.
My mom had 3 kids at 22.
Yeah, she did. Oh. By 22, she had 3.
But she also had, we have a big family too, and she had a strong support system.
She did, yeah.
So without that, you know, it'd have been tough. But like my grandparents were big support. So
yeah. But it's like not even just still, I can't imagine in that way. Like it's even just the like emotional maturity to not, you know, snap on everybody. You know.
Ooh. To be like, oh my gosh, that's
doing child things as opposed to this child is actively attacking me and it's causing me harm. You know, you're like, no, this is a child doing child. This is what the child's supposed to do.
Right.
You are supposed to not be affected as much.
Right.
Because you're an adult. Like, why are you being affected so greatly by this child? Not that you don't ever get affected, but it's like, dude, like, you know, and so I'm like, I'm grateful that I will have this to give. You know?
Yeah.
So
like knowing our family and knowing where we come from, was it difficult for you to have that conversation with your parents and maybe even your siblings, like to say, okay, this is where I'm at, y'all, and this is what I'm gonna do, and it's just gonna be me? Or were you like comfortable having that conversation?
My parents were, I think, because my parents so we're cousins on our mother's side. Our mothers are sisters.
Right.
Of our mothers, mine is the only one who's not a grandmother yet.
Right.
All the others are grandmothers. So, and she's had the oldest and the youngest of all the grandkids now.
Yeah, so that's right. Yeah.
So she's got a wide range of the children, but does not have any grandchildren. And same for my dad. So my dad, many years ago, before I even left Indiana and moved to New York, he was like, I don't care how you have a kid, I'll help you. Just have a kid.
Like, when I tell you I love him, I absolutely love him. He is my favorite, and I will say it to anybody who asks me. I was just telling your sister this not too long ago. I was like, I love this man. I absolutely love him. Yes.
He's like, please, somebody have a child. Just anyone. I will help any of you just have a child. So it's like,
right.
He could care less. As long as a grandchild is coming, then he's like, cool.
Right.
Right. My mom, similarly, not that she was in the same vein of just please any way, shape, or form, you know, get pregnant. But she definitely was more so like, you know, I want this for you if this is what you want. I definitely want to be, you know, a grandmother. I don't know how she's going to call herself yet. I don't think she wants to be called grandma, but we'll see.
No, you know,
but definitely supportive in whatever way that was going to take shape.
Okay.
I think knowing her own journey through motherhood, I think she definitely was like, you know, if things were to happen and not the way you plan, we still would be there to support you and be there for you and all of that. And if things were to happen exactly as you plan, we'll be here to support you and love you and all of that too. So um, it I think she is looking forward to eventually becoming a grandmother, but I think she's not trying to give the pressure. I don't think she wants to give pressure. I think she's like, if people say I don't want to have kids, I'm good. She's like, okay, I'll take that. And if people are like, I want to have kids and let's see what happens, she's like, okay, I'll take that too.
That's good.
But he's definitely like, please, somebody, anyone, anybody.
It's definitely people like, you need to have kids now. Or you know, such and such age or whatever. You know, you can't tell me when I'm supposed to have them. They'll come when they come. But that's good that you do have that support.
Yeah. And now that I'm building, like I said, a relationship with my biological father, so I have 2 additional siblings that I did not get to grow up with. So I don't have that familial experience with them. But we're all growing and connecting and creating a bond. And neither of them have children either. So he too would also be a grandfather, you know, for the first time if I were to have one. And he as well is like, you know, whatever I can do, I'll be there. So I know I definitely have support, you know, and then my siblings, of course, are going to be like, they're ready. We all spoil our dog babies. So I already know what's going to happen.
Oh my God. Yeah. Y'all do.
You know?
Right.
So, yeah.
Now, how old are your biological father? How old are his other kids?
Ooh, don't get me to lying. I know.
Because I don't know if I know about 2. I feel like I know about 1.
There's 2 of them, a sister and a brother. I don't know. I don't want to say their names, just, you know, just in case.
Yeah.
But I, you know, they're in their 30s, but I don't know where in their 30s they are.
Okay.
Yeah, they're somewhere in that range. I know they're older. Okay. I know they're older than their 20s. Yeah, I think they're in their 30s.
Okay, because like I said, I think I know about 1, but I don't know that I knew that there were 2. So I don't know, but that's cool. I'm glad to hear. You know what I mean, that you all are creating, you know, like a bond and starting a relationship. Because the more people to, you know, to love on you, the better.
Absolutely.
So,
I don't think you can have too much love. So
exactly.
So where are you right now with your journey?
So where I am now, now that it's a new year, I, you know, went to get all my appointments back again and restart using my benefits.
Oh yeah.
For as much as we pay for these benefits, I'm gonna use them. So I've had some repeat ultrasounds and everything. Uterus still looks good. And we checked my hormone levels and my egg reserves, so we know where we are with that. I'm set up to have an egg retrieval done at the end of February. But what I need to do before then actually is purchase this sperm, which has been...
I was just gonna ask you that.
Such a process.
That was gonna be my next question for you, because I know you all parted ways, but I didn't know if you all were still going to like because I know you had said, like, you know, you were gonna be a single mom, so I didn't know if you all were gonna co-parent but do it separately, or if you were just like done and you were gonna get a donor. So okay, you answered that.
I'm getting a donor. That my ex and I, we still communicate. We have a good relationship with one another. But I think just where he is with some things that he wants in life and where he is at life and where he feels like his journey is taking him wasn't really aligning with my timeline and my journey as much.
Yeah.
And as much as I do feel like I think we could have a family together, I think we could raise a child together, whether we were romantically together or not. I think we could, but respecting where he is not necessarily in the same place that I
Yeah.
am, but understanding that I'm at a place now where I'm no longer willing to push back my timeline waiting on someone else. Um,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, whatever is to be will be, but I'm not going to make it even more difficult for me to achieve pregnancy by waiting longer and longer and longer in the hopes that somebody might change their mind or decide they want to do something with me. You know what I mean? Um, I've done that throughout the years for different things, thinking, okay, I need to wait for this or wait for that or wait for this person to want to do this or all of those things, and I'm like, I'm 42, I don't want to wait for anybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope. So looking for a donor, because I do want to have a Black child, so I would like the donor to be Black, and there are not a lot of Black donors in these
Yeah.
registries, which is something that my doctor, she was like, I am aware that that is a thing. If you know that you want to have a Black donor, it is definitely something that she's heard has been difficult to find. um
Yep.
so that is kind of where I am. I've also been like, man, okay, if I can't find what I would feel to be a suitable Black donor, um what would my next options be?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know still. uh, I've been like, okay, maybe, Latino or
Mhm.
Asian. Um,
That's where my mind went to, like keeping it like the black and brown, kind of
yeah. And it's
realm.
like,
But
but even
yeah.
with that, since I get to choose, I want to make sure I'm choosing someone who culturally likes Black people. And
Hello.
will be like, like when it comes time to teaching my child about their ancestry and where they
Yeah.
come from and all that, what makes them, was a part of their makeup. I don't want them to feel like, oh man, you just chose a group, thinking maybe I would be cute, but not taking into
Yeah.
consideration that I might not be welcome, or I might find a hard time
Right.
getting into and learning about that culture. So I'm
Yep.
really trying to be very, very thoughtful about that. um
That's good because not a lot of people do that. They just, like you said, they just pick and they just go into it and not think about it. And I remember having a conversation with one of my friends. She's white, and she was saying that her and her wife wanted to, either if they couldn't have kids, naturally they wanted to adopt. And she was like, "And I think I want to adopt a Black kid." And I paused, and she looked at me. She was like, "Did I say something wrong?" And I was like, "It's not that you said something wrong." I said, "But help me understand why, and help
mhm
me understand what you all are going to do to educate yourselves on that child's culture, because
mhm
you won't be able to understand when they walk in a room how they feel, when they get older and they drive in a car and get pulled over, like what that feels like, when they getting teased at school, all these things, or we know how to do their hair, and just all of these things that come with different cultures." And I was like, and if you can't take that on, and if you don't have the capacity to learn something else, I say don't do it. I'm not saying it's impossible, and I'm not saying that you should not, but I need you to do something, but out besides trying to be a white savior, and besides
mhm
trying to be like, this Black kid needs me and I can help them. And she like broke down, and she was like, "I think that's exactly what I was thinking." And I was like, it happens, girl. And I said, but like, as now you have the opportunity to step back and think on it more. And again, if you still feel compelled to do this, then just make sure you educate yourself, and and go forward, because you're an amazing person. You'll be an amazing mother. I just want you I don't want you to get into it thinking that it's just going to be a cakewalk and that like
Absolutely
now
not.
because I love them that their
Mm-hmm.
life is so much better. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you definitely need to think about it.
100%. And you see it. I definitely see when I see children, around who are, who have, mixed ancestry, mixed heritage, and have multiple ethnicities that make them who they are. And you can kind of tell the ones who are raised to know themselves as a whole, and those who are being raised in the culture of that parent, regardless
Yeah.
of the ethnic makeup of the child. And you can
Yeah.
see it. It is there's a tension there that's deep, you know and
Yeah.
not that parent loves that child any less, or that
Mhm.
they are not doing all that they know how to do. But when, like you said, when you do make the decision, if you're able to make the decision to, bring a child into the world, or to adopt a child that is going to be made up of ethnic cultures that are different than yourself, and you don't
Mhm.
take the time to learn about those so that then that child can know themselves fully, is that's a level of selfishness that it can be
Yeah.
harmful.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it can take a long, long time for those children to heal themselves
Yeah.
eventually, um, and not pass along that which they feel as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot to take in, so
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think
Do
about it a
you
lot.
think that yeah, and I think that that is important. Like, so I think that you're already showing like that like that you're starting this journey, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like on I hate to say like the right foot, but just like with a clear mind and like in good intentions and like just showing how wise and mature you are and not just like, oh, I want a baby, so I'm gonna grab this person or oh, I'm gonna
Yeah.
do this. Like you are actually thinking about it, and I think that that is very very important. I was gonna ask you, do you think that there will ever be a point where, as you're going on this journey, where you're like, okay, because you mentioned you're 42, and so of course, we don't age backwards, we keep going forward. That you would be like, okay, this isn't working, this isn't happening. Maybe I want to adopt, or are you set on just biological?
Um, right now, I want to do all that I can for biological.
Yeah,
Um, for a few reasons. I feel like, one, um, I want to experience pregnancy and experience bringing a child into the world that way. Um, that's always been part of the journey that I've looked forward to.
yeah,
Even though I know it's difficult, even though I know it comes with a whole lot, but that's, I want to be a part of that club, you know,
yeah,
to have gone through that. So that's one aspect of it. And then also, and this may be very woo, tinfoil hat a little bit. Um, but when you think about, like, when you learn and think about what all has to go right for a life to come into the world, right? It is a miracle that any of us are walking around, the way
hello.
that
Right.
everything has to align
Mm-hmm.
in such a way for life to create. It
Yep.
is so crazy when you learn about it, research it. You're just like, this has to match up with this, has to align with this, for this, for
Yes.
that, all this to get a light. And you don't think about it because, unfortunately, life happens so easy, for a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people, that you don't think about all of those things that have gone right just for this to take place. Um,
Right.
and so for me, then that feels like every one of us, the fact that we're the part of the gene pool that made it. If you're thinking about evolution and Darwinism and like all these different things that you learn throughout the years, it's like there are a lot of genetic lines that didn't make it this far.
Yeah. Yep.
That have been erased from history now.
Yeah.
And the fact that so many of us are still here in 2026 for this genes to still be present is like, woo, we made it. And I also think about how there is no one else on this planet that has this mixture of genes. Because my mother and my biological father had no other children together.
Yep.
So I am the only combo of them to make me.
That's true.
So I don't know if that is crazily selfish sounding in a way or like grandiose, but
no.
I feel like, how would you say that for these things to happen, to take place, for me to exist, for then me to say, and that's it, this lineage goes no further. I feel like I need to do all that I can to try. That's part of my why, not my full why, but it's part of it. So that's why having a biological child means a lot to me. Now, I do feel like it is possible to give love, and there are a lot of children who need love, who don't have it and don't have that support and should. So I'm not going to say that, down the line that's not necessarily an option that I would consider. But as of right now, while I have the ability, I want to try to do all that I can to have a biological child, and then go from there. So I'm not closed off to the idea of adoption, but it's just not my focus right now.
You're not at that point yet.
Right. Yeah. I when we were talking about having a third, it took a lot of convincing, but when we talked about it, I remember asking Brittany, I was like, well, if it gets to the point like where like I can't and I'm having these issues, like will you step in and like will you care? We got 2 uteruses here, like why not? And she was like,
that's not my journey.
She was like, nah.
But for me, that's never been like
Right.
anything. Being pregnant, have that, none of that looks fun. None of that looks appealing. None of that looks exciting to me.
It was so fun.
But that's just me. I've never wanted to like physically have. I've never. It was never on my agenda whatsoever.
But I said to say we got to a point where I was like, okay, so if we want a third and I can and she won't, like, do we look into adoption? And we obviously we got our third, but I mean it was something that had to be talked about and had to be thought about, and like we've shared before, we had to switch our mindset when it came to donors, because the girl's donor had his vasectomy and all that kind of fun stuff. And so then going into, because we were both just so dead set on like we will not use another one, because like we already got these kids, having two mamas, they Black, they females, like we don't want to bring anything else on them, but then it was like, if we find somebody and if it's meant to be, it'll be. And it worked out and it's been amazing. But just even trying to now teach our girls that they may not have the same biological donor as him, but you all are coming from like and being raised by the same two parents who love you a lot, and this is your brother, and because they hear in their school, and I feel like this is more of a culture-based thing, and they are in a predominantly white school, and they say half brother, half sister, and I'm like, we don't say none of that. That's not what
No.
that is, and we were never raised that way. You
Mm-mm.
know how our family is. Like we just never did that, you know. And we
Mm-hmm.
have
That's your brother, that's your sister.
yeah. And so like Christian was saying, you know, like our moms are sisters, and there are some of the sisters, you know, who have children by different men, and it was never like, oh, this is your half brother, this is your half. No,
No.
this is your
Mm-hmm.
brother, this is your sister. And even when it came to the fathers in the picture who were raising them, this is your father, this is your daddy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Kind of thing. You know, so like it was just
Right.
this big old happy blended. You know what I mean? Like family
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. And even on my father's side with my other siblings, it was the same way. I remember it was my older brother and I were going back and forth when they was kids, and then I was like, "That's why you." I said, "Stepbrother being stupid, not realizing like this, you know." But and my daddy came downstairs and baby, he lit into us, and he was like, "I don't ever want to hear nothing like that. You're not half. It's not, you know." You all are
Mm-hmm.
brother and sisters. And so I appreciated, you know, having that foundation from him, you know, and then from like, you know, our maternal side too, because I think that that's important. It doesn't, genetics to me play a factor when it comes to like, I don't know, medical things and you know what I mean? And when it comes to like the scientific side of it, and when you need to know all of this stuff, and not that you don't need to know who your people are, you should, but blood is in everything. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
it's like this is your family. We, you know, we care about you. We love you. We support you. We're here. So
100%.
yeah. Yeah.
100%.
But
I agree that it's your siblings are your siblings, and
yeah.
it doesn't matter like what the genetics are. Even if you know my parents had decided to adopt a child that was not genetically related to any
Yeah.
of us, if that it would be my sibling. Like at the end
Yeah.
of the day, um, so I totally agree. We definitely were not raised to see anyone as different. Um, Everybody, you know, was included. Those
Yep.
who had different fathers, myself included in that, in terms of biology, it was like, you know, everybody knew for the most part who had the capacity to know and understand,
Right. Right.
you know, that what that was. It was explained like this one's
Mm-hmm.
biological father. This is their father that, you know, they live with that raises them. Um,
Yep.
and for all of our cousins, everybody was an uncle, even those men who were not
Right.
around frequently,
Yep.
but, you know, came
Yep.
about, you know, from time to time. It's like they were still respected as an uncle.
Absolutely.
The grandmothers were always still grandmothers, or, you know,
Yep.
or however they were called. You know, it was like everybody's, and our cousins' other siblings, their siblings that were much older, because, you know, like we have not just you all, but like we have another set of cousins who had an older sister from their
Yeah.
father, from, you know, life
Yeah.
before they were with us. But even
Yeah.
when they come around, it's like technically, by technicalities, if you're talking genetics, we're not genetically related, but
Yes.
That's your
it's
cousin.
like that's my cousin too, though. You know,
Right.
like your
Right. It's like
sister,
cousin.
you know, like that's my cousin. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Right.
Yeah.
it doesn't matter that she's on your dad's side. It's like, or even
Yeah.
You my
his
cousin.
parents
So
that
that's
weren't
my cousin
related to
too.
us when we came around them. You know, that was,
Right.
you know, that's Big Daddy. You know, that's this is
Yeah.
it. This
Right.
is all of us.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
You know, so I think that is definitely a cultural familial thing of, like I was saying before, coming back to having
Yeah.
a big group of, this is family is all of this, is this,
Yes. Yep.
and
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I agree, growing up in that type of environment, none of it mattered, you know.
No.
Most of the cousins from my dad that I grew up with from his side were, again, not genetically, you know, related, but those are my
Yeah.
cousins that I grew up with.
Yeah.
Like I know a lot of them more than even my siblings, because my siblings are so young, you know.
Right.
So
Right.
there's a lot that I know that I'm like, y'all don't even know, you know, these are my cousins, you know, and it is, that's family, you know. So I agree. Uh-oh, we froze again.
Froze again.
Are you still there?
Uh-oh. Christian, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Oh, wait.
Okay,
Oh,
now
he's
I
back.
can hear you.
Okay, he's back. um, but yeah, no, I agree. It was just one big happy family, and that's what we know. That's what we, are taught. And I mean, I absolutely love it. I do hate that, like, us now, because I feel like I always tell my kids, like, we grew up as like siblings. It was like, we were like sibling cousins, and so it's like now but that was because our mothers were like, we're first cousins, so like I think about like my siblings and their kids, and that, obviously they would be first cousins, and like we do our best, to keep them all, together or whatever. More so Brooke and I do with our kids, but it's just like, and that's because, Blake is he's somewhere else, but so
Yeah,
it's, it's kind
so far
of
away.
hard. Yeah, but I think about, us as first cousins who grew up with each other, and it's like, how do we pass it along to, like, our kids too? Because, like, no, they're not first cousins, but they're still cousins. You know what I mean? And it's like, and we were always, around each other, and like, we grew up in different, states or whatever, but still, it was like, we knew every summer we was coming to Indiana. You know what I mean? And we was going to Max and Irma's, and we was staying, so it was like all that stuff. So it's like, we want, I want them to be able to have that too, but we're all so spread out. And I don't know, it's just kind of, it pulls at my heart sometimes, because I'm just like, I want them to be close too.
Yeah,
I think the family dynamics have changed too, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. The distance does make a difference. Even things like, I was talking to was it my mom or dad? Somebody I was talking to, and I was like, who has taken up the mantle for family reunions?
I
Because
know.
what happened to those? That used to be a thing.
I
Like
know.
every summer
It did.
there was a family reunion somewhere. It may not have been the same
Mm-hmm.
family, but family, you had a family reunion, you was going to those
Right,
people.
right.
And
People showed up.
it was like,
Right.
okay, but I'm like, things like that, who's keeping the historical record,
Mm-hmm.
excuse me. But like, I frequently will talk to my siblings, like I said, because we're so spread out, and we'll be talking, and I'll be telling them something about family history, and they'll be like, what?
Yeah.
They're like, I've
Who?
never heard this in my life. When? How? Who, what, when, where,
Mm-hmm.
how? And I'm like, yeah. And I'll tell them, people's names or things that have happened, and they just have no clue. And because they weren't physically there for it, and I think,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think our parents are even really thinking about it, like that
Yeah.
this should still be passed on. Um, and it is partially kind of that thought of, well, if one of you knows it and you all grew up in the same house, then all of you should know it, right?
All
But
you know,
no, but we
yes.
grew up in very different, decades and generations.
Yeah.
So
Right.
what I know and what the twins know is like
Mm-hmm.
night and day.
Or
Night
even
and
just
day.
like with I agree, but even just with our mothers, right? So like, what we may know, you all might not know, like, and vice versa, like, because maybe, y'all mama told y'all all of this stuff, where mama, bless her heart, she be like there one minute, then the next she not, and she be like, oh, I thought I told you. Literally, like, her and I just had this conversation the other day. She was talking about granddaddy, and she was like, yeah, because me and your aunt are talking about, some kind of, like, it's something, I'm drawing a blank on it, but something for like granddaddy and grandmama, like a, not the scholarship, but it's something. Anyway, I'm drawing a blank on what it is. Then she was like, yeah, because, since they both had cancer. And I said, huh? What do you mean? And she was like, well, because, they both had cancer. I said, I know Granny had lung cancer. I said, but what do you mean? I was like, granddaddy didn't have cancer. She was like, yeah, he had brain cancer. And I was like, no. No, he didn't. What are you talking about? And she was like, yeah. She's like, remember they shaved his head and blah blah. I was like, yes, I remember his head being shaved. All his beautiful hair was gone. I remember that. I was traumatized by that. But what the hell do you mean he had brain cancer? And this is what she said. I didn't know this. Did you know that?
I don't think that's why his head was bald.
Well, see, I didn't think so.
We need to circle back. She said, because I thought that
we do.
But the face that both of you all made,
I have completely different recollection as to what was happening with that. So I don't think
it seemed like they told y'all one thing when y'all was younger, and now that y'all older, y'all finding out.
No, that's what because my mom definitely very much is a sharer, so she definitely shared the real deal. Like she never held back on saying like what somebody was going through.
Yeah.
And that wasn't one of it. No.
I didn't think so either.
I think y'all mamas need to talk because maybe one of them.
I don't know because actually, because so my mama and one of the sisters, I'm not gonna say their name either, but had a disagreement, and I guess now there's some discussion on if Granny ever had lung cancer.
Yeah, because I didn't hear that one either.
Yeah, I remember that one because I remember getting that call when they found it, and she went through radiation and she went through but they didn't know how far they were going to go with the treatments because of her age. So I do remember that. But then
I'm gonna circle back on that one.
Yeah, because then one of our other aunts was like,
I need a conference call,
right? Because our aunt was like, no, it was never confirmed. And then my mom was like, yes, it was. And I was like, I remember the treatment, so I'm confused. So I don't know. But
yeah, like a Zoom meeting is in the works.
Right. Yeah, I got questions. Right? But I have to be careful. That's the other thing. We also, when you're part of a big family, you got to be careful who and how you ask questions. So you got to start in certain places because I asked the question. I asked the oldest aunt a question, and then I had circled to my mama, and my mama was like, "Now, why didn't you ask me before you went to her? Because now I got to be prepared because now I done asked the follow up, and now she's wondering what's going on that we asking all these questions." And I'm like, oh God, I thought I could just ask a question. And she was like, no. You need
oh my gosh.
Let me know so then I can let you know where
it's okay
where we're at with the securing of information. She was like, because you're gonna get one answer and maybe we need to convene first. Because she was like, sometimes even amongst them, she's like, one will remember something and the other one will be like, no, that ain't what happened.
Yep.
And you're like, what?
And of course, the oldest aunt, because she's the oldest, is like, I know it all. I've been around the whole time. And I can't say that there isn't some validity to that. You know what I mean? But at the same time, still perception is, you know what I mean, is different.
Yeah.
I know you're the baby, so you don't always agree. But being around the whole time.
No, but that's fair too, because there's a lot that my siblings that they have experienced with my parents or being in the household after I was gone.
Yeah.
So like I even think of like with the twins, the youngest two of my siblings, their experience of me as a big sister versus the one below me and then the one below her is a very different interaction. They were more present longer in a big sister role than I was because I was away at college. So I come back on breaks in the summertime. So their waking knowledge of me, memory of me, experience of me is more of a transient.
Right. You're a part-time big sister.
Yeah. But the daily big sister things that I did for the other ones, they didn't experience that with me. And the daily that I did with them, they were babies. So I was doing the daily, diaper change, feedings, up rocking them when they was crying in the middle of the night because my parents was pretending who was sleep harder. Like I got to go to school. So somebody got to put these kids to sleep. Like, what are we doing?
Oh
So,
my gosh, that is hilarious.
but they don't remember that because they were babies.
Yeah,
They don't have memory of that. So, like, the
yeah,
hands-on dailiness that I had with them was before they had their mind was even formed to have memory.
yeah,
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I would not be able to tell them life is this way because they experienced it in a
yes,
different way and I wasn't there.
yeah.
Like, so
That's true. That's real.
it's
That's
just
very,
the
very
same
true.
way that they can't tell me that I didn't go through whatever I went through. I can't
There
tell
he
them
is.
that they didn't either because I wasn't there.
Right,
Like,
right.
sorry.
And it's just like a huge, almost like a huge mind fuck because it's like, how can you say that this didn't happen, or how can you say that this did happen? Because I was there, and you like, so was I. And it's like, but wait, but how did you not see it this way? Like, what do
Right.
you mean you was there? How did you? You know what I mean? So it's just the way that the mind works. It's just so,
Yeah.
And
I
it's
don't know, just
always through the
mind
lens of
blowing.
whatever it is you're going through. So it's,
That part, that's
if
very,
you
very
are
true.
if you're watching it but you're hands on, like
Yep.
you're the child that's physically caring for the parent that's going
Yeah.
through versus you're the child that you're watching it, you know what's happening intellectually, you're calling but you may not be there physically. Or you might
Yeah.
be in the same city but you don't have the capacity to do what you need to
Yeah.
do. So you are there but not, you
Yeah.
know? And
Yep.
then you got your own life dramas. You got divorces happened, deaths happen,
Mhm.
love comes around again, marriages come around again, more children come, other children. So that you got children born who never knew the man. And then, like
Yeah.
they weren't even physically on this plane yet when he was still alive. So it's like everything of
That's
what
so
people were going through,
crazy.
is the
Yeah.
lens in which they see stuff.
That's
So,
wild. Because I even think about like Granddaddy Howard. I'm almost positive I was born, but like you and Blake were older. You know what I mean? So like you all may have memory of him. I have none. You know what I mean of
mhm,
him.
mhm,
Or I think about like Blake and I with Bree. You know what I mean? And then Brooke. Who came after her. Or even with Blake and I. He was a little bit older, so he was
mhm,
5, I
mhm,
was 3. I have no memory of her. He has a lot of memory of her, even in her short life. So, yeah, it's just, yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
mhm.
Life is crazy.
It
It's
is
so
so
wild. Yeah.
crazy. Yeah. But that's why we just all, I think in this time where so much is dividing us all, it seems like we are repeating past history that should never be repeated.
Right.
Um, we have so much technology that's supposed to bring us together, but yet it's driven us further apart than it ever
Hmm.
has. I think remembering what makes us a family, remembering what connects us all, sharing the stories, um,
Yeah.
printing out the pictures. That's something that I've been trying to do. I have so much saved on this phone, but I've been trying to
Yeah.
actually print out photographs, and make it a part of my decorations around the house and stuff to see, because
You hear about Blue's
Mm-hmm.
pictures? Yeah, we got to put up these pictures.
you just like even little things like I said, how we are spoiling our dog babies. I love my dog baby like I birthed him myself, and but I know his life is short, and so I
Yeah.
take all kinds of videos and photos of him. I've got
Aw.
crazy amount of videos and photos because I know there's one day he's not going to be
It's like
here
Alex.
and I'm
Right.
going to
Mhm.
be distraught, but I will
Devastated.
have this to look back on, and if I
Hmm.
can do that with my dog, then I should be
Yeah.
able to do that. I went through tubs of photos that are at my mom's house, and there's still so much to go through. And I tried to either take pictures or scan so much of it so that
Yeah.
you don't lose it. So I have stuff in my phone I have pictures of Blake and I as babies in car seats next to each
Mhm.
other holding apple juice bottles. Like, these are
Because they're a
things
month
that,
apart. Yeah.
yeah, like literally, like we're like right there in age, So
Mhm.
um that's stuff that I want to hang on to, that even my siblings haven't seen all of these photos. They don't know who half
Yeah.
those people are in the photos. They don't
Yep.
know what's this or that or the third. People will mention cousins who have passed on, who are like our parents' first cousins, and they have never heard of these
Yeah.
people a day in their lives. And so it's just that type of stuff that we have to pass along our history. We
Yep.
see how society today is going backwards and trying to erase things that we know happen. We've seen
Yep.
it happen. We've felt
Yep.
it happen. It's in our DNA, and they're trying to
Yep.
make us think that
Think.
it
Yep.
didn't.
It did. So
And
crazy.
it's the
Right.
Yeah.
continuous passing on of the information, the education, the history, the stories. We forgot that we are storytellers and that we tell stories, and that is
Mhm.
how we have always passed along our history. That's what's deep in our DNA, and that's what we have to continue to do. And doing things like, our podcasts, or even just in terms of
Mhm.
conversations that we have with each other, passing along the information is the only way that you could keep it from dying. And that's what
Yeah.
we got to do.
Yep.
I agree. Look, you finna make me go start trying to create a Shutterfly photo book or something with some of these people, because I mean it does happen, and there's times like where my mom like, oh, you remember so and so, or you my daddy, like, and I'm like, what? Like, I was literally talking to my daddy the other day, and he was like, yeah, our cousin, he brought her up, and I was like, who? And so
Yeah,
I'm just like, it's like I know her name, but I can't place her face,
Mm-hmm.
or things like that, and so yeah, I think
yeah.
it's important
And I
and
think
to be
we
able to
have to
pass
be
it
the
on.
generation that does it, because, like, there are photographs of my grandmother, my dad's mom, back in Indiana, that can close my eyes and physically see the photograph, that
Uh
I've
huh.
talked to my siblings and they don't know what photograph I'm talking about. And when I asked my dad where it is, he's like, I don't know where them albums are. And I'm like, I got to go back. I got to go. Now I have to go back and find
Yeah.
these things, because what do you mean? And even when I ask him, he'll
Mhm.
be like, oh, yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. No, I don't need you to think you know what I'm talking about. I need, this is what I'm talking about. Like, there's my youngest sister, she's very into fashion and stuff like that. And we talk about extensively, obviously, with my mom and our grandmother, and how fashion forward, they were, and just, held themselves with such dignity and class. But her memory of my
Mhm.
dad's grandmother obviously is more of her in the grandmother state. So,
Yeah.
Right.
in look of grandmother, as opposed to maybe who or what she was early on. So she only sees that one side of where her, like,
Yeah.
fashion sense and beauty and stuff comes from. And I'm like, you don't remember the photo of her because she was, Mama was Jet Beauty of the Week, and she was like,
Mhm.
A, what's Jet? B, no, no, I think she knew.
Right.
I think she knew what Jet was. Let me not lie on her. She may have knew what Jet was. It's possible
Oh
she didn't,
Lord.
but I think she did. But either way, I'm like, she was a Jet Beauty
She
of the
was
Week, and there was a
Right.
whole photo shoot spread that you have to see these photos of her, and she was just
yeah.
like, I don't know what you're talking about. And
Tell her
I'm
Google. You
like,
can Google all the magazines.
Oh, that's a
but
good
I
idea.
can't.
Hey, look.
I don't know the volume. That's the thing, is that, and then if you try to
Oh,
look for every
Try
Jet
Google.
Beauty of the week, and how many years has Jet been out?
Did you try to Google like her name and then Jet Beauty of the Week? It
No,
may pop up.
I'll try.
no.
Send me
But I
the
was
info.
just
I'll
like,
look too.
dude, I
Send
was
me the
like, what?
info.
But no, that means I got to go back to Indiana and look for these things, because he don't know
Right.
where they are. And
Right.
that also, and we done gone around the river and through the woods, but the
To grandmother's house we go.
I
We
think
talking
that
about grandmother.
also speaks to the difference between um daughters and sons sometimes.
Yeah.
And how a lot of times the stories did come from the women in the family.
Mm-hmm.
They were the ones keeping the records, keeping the history. Um, the men had their stories too, but if you want to get the full picture of, the history of a
Accurate version.
people, a lot of that was, passed down from the women telling stories, and so I think it's important that we don't forget that we are storytellers.
Right.
It's funny because in my family right now, I'm the one who's doing the ancestry. One of my
Mm-hmm.
aunts, one of my grandfather's sisters, has a lot of the information, but I started one of my own. So it's like I look to her if I got questions about, well, is this accurate? Is this person actually this person, or so. And nobody else in my family, like my cousins and stuff, they just like, who? And it's
Right.
like I'm on the out of our first cousins, I'm not the oldest.
Right.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
like they looking to me like, did you get this? I'm like, yeah, I already found that information. This is who this is. This is who this is. And it's like, I need to ask such and such. Go ahead. I bet you I'm right.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Look, see, and I don't know Mama's
Absolutely.
Mama's maiden name, so I'm over here googling just by her first name, but I know they're gonna come up under her married name. But yeah, we're gonna have to Google it and find a picture so we can
I'm gonna
send it to
find
her
it,
and see.
but I'm just
Yep.
like, it's so much we have to that we can't let die in this
No, I
time
agree.
of where we are, especially with everything going on.
Yeah.
And I think now's that great opportunity while, like you all are saying, you're trying to um, show your daughters and your son how family can mean something beyond
Yeah.
just, what's in these four walls. Um, I think remembering that and passing that on about all of us and our story as a whole and who we are as a whole so that they don't forget and lose that, you know. Um,
Yeah.
I think is a great way to show like, no, this is your family, this is what family is, this is what family means, and this is why this is important. And don't
Yeah.
worry about what everybody else got. Worry about this.
Yep. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. Well, I know we're out of time, but we do appreciate you coming on today and sharing your journey and your story, because I think it is important. Like we started off saying, I think when people hear about fertility, they just think of same sex couples, and
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
very rare for people to hear about heterosexual couples or even just like I said, people doing it by themselves. I know we didn't talk about it, but I mean, some people experience having to use surrogates and things like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a fertility or say infertility is just a very wide spectrum, and there are so many people who experience it. And I think more people should talk about it so that people can understand or know that they're not alone.
Right.
Yes.
And that it's more common than they think. And it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to ask for help, to go look for answers. And if you want to do this shit on your own, you can do it on your own.
Right.
Like you can.
Hmm.
So,
You can.
so we
There
wish
are
you
women doing
well.
it every day.
Yes, yes. So wish you well. All of the baby dust and egg and sperm stuff your way, so that you
Thank you.
get. There you go,
Receive
girl.
that.
Receive it.
I
Receive
receive
it.
it.
Yes, but that is all the time that we have. Oh wait, but before we forget, you have your own podcast. You want to,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
say your
Yes.
information.
Yes. So I have the Fallopian Files. It is a visual podcast, and our tagline: "We are all things woman for all womankind," and we talk about everything definitely related to women's health, but also things outside of the health ramifications and things as well like that. But it's just a place where I want to have honest dialogue with other women who are going through different journeys of their own, and also with professionals, health professionals who are able to give real honest, educated, scientifically backed input on things.
Yeah.
Like we said, we are coming into a space now where anyone with a phone can put up information and call it facts and have zero credibility to do so,
Yeah.
and can influence a lot of people in that way. And so I just want to do my little part to combat misinformation. I try to give as much info as I can, also to provide a space for a lot of Black and brown women who
Yeah.
are experiencing certain things in a way that's different than our white counterparts. That's not often discussed because we don't
Yeah.
often have the ability or the platform or the safety to feel like we can have certain discussions. So where much of it is universal, I do focus mostly on Black and brown women, and that is all inclusive of women. And I am also sharing my fertility journey because I see mostly, cis hetero married women in the fertility space when I'm looking for information and content. Um, and oftentimes also, Caucasian. So you don't get to hear a lot of our stories
Yeah.
that don't necessarily look like, what is supposed to be mainstream, right? So being able to just share that journey as well, so that the next person looking for info, they have a face to put with
Yes.
it, and they have a journey to follow where I did not. So just trying to provide as much as I can. Like I said, it is a visual podcast, so the videos are available on YouTube, the full length videos. I also have different social media accounts for the Fallopian Files where you can follow and see, if you like to get information in
I don't
snippets, if
know.
that's all you can digest, you can get some snippets on the social media accounts. And then, of course, the full audio versions are available wherever you get your podcasts, on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, you name it, we're there. So hopefully you all will come over and join us and take a listen. I'm going to post this video as well, so
Okay.
you'll hopefully be able to see it over on my channel as well. So
Yes. Well, thank you so much. Right, you said hi. But as always, please rate, review, follow, subscribe, send in comments, questions, and we will talk to you all next time. And again, thank you for coming.
Bye.
Bye.
bye.